Good afternoon and welcome along to SUTV Live. We've got lots on the way in the next hour or so as we bring you all of the build-up to today's 3 p.m. kickoff as the Blades travel to South Wales to take on Cardiff City. We'll be hearing from all three members of our new coaching team, Paul Heckingbottom, Jack Lester and Stuart McCall. We'll have post-match reaction from last week from Billy Sharp following that 2-0 win over Bristol City in the snow here at Bramall Lane. And we'll be bringing you this afternoon's team news as Sheffield United look to extend their unbeaten run to 4 games and continue that climb up the league table. One final bit of housekeeping before we get things started. For information regarding all of the broadcasting regulations around today's game, just log on to sufc.co.uk. Well, a very good afternoon. A warm welcome to Bramall Lane, an empty Bramall Lane, as you can see, because the Blades are on the road again this afternoon. They travel to Cardiff City, looking to extend their unbeaten run to 4 games. Allow me to introduce you to the 2 guests that have come along for the ride today. First of all, our only ever present on SUTV Live, making his 21st league appearance of the season. Once again, a very good afternoon to Kevin Gage.
Good afternoon.
You're looking happy. You've got a big smile on your face.
Yeah, I didn't realise we've done 21 league games. It must be
flown by, hasn't it? Just. Yeah. Let me introduce the man alongside you as well. He made 223 appearances in a Blades jersey, scoring 93 goals along the way. It's a welcome back to the studio to Brian Deane.
How you doing? All right?
I'm very well. You like that record, don't you? Every time we mention it, it's fairly impressive.
Could always be better.
Could always see. Ever the perfectionist, always demanding more of himself. Gentlemen, like we say, there is a feel-good factor around this club right now. That's what comes when you've taken 7 points from a possible 9. Gage, you were here last week to see that first game under Paul Heckingbottom's second spell in charge. How impressive was it?
It was good. It was very impressive. It was just what we needed, wasn't it? The club was on a bit of a lull, and everybody was a bit of doom and gloom about the place, wasn't there? Especially after the result previous to that, and even though we won at Reading, everybody was still a bit apprehensive on where things were going. So I think it was good to set the record straight and to draw a line under the Slav era and be more positive going forward. And certainly the players responded to it on the pitch. And right from the first whistle, we were at Bristol City. The crowd got behind the team as well, which was good to see. Even when a couple of passes went wrong early doors, but they didn't lose faith. And you know there was a lot of encouragement all around the club, and you could sense it building as well from the fans.
Now, but both you and Brian know what it's like to play inside this stadium when the crowd are right at it. They're fully behind the team. Just how much of a factor, Brian, is that in the team performing well out there on the pitch?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll always say, you know, the crowd down there is special to me, and but I've always found that, you know, they're honest fans, and they just want something to latch onto. So, you know, they'll stay with you as long as they can see effort, and I think that will be reflected in how things are moving forward. You know, as long as they see everybody giving effort 100%, they'll stay with the players.
I suppose that's a big plus about Paul Heckingbottom, isn't it? You know, he's been a long-time coach of the under-23s now. He's somebody the fans can relate to, and that makes a difference at this club. Absolutely,
yeah. Not just Hecky, of course, but you've got Jack Lester, who's been here a while, and of course Stuart McCall. I mean, he's loved down at Bramall Lane, isn't he, for his exploits on and off the pitch as assistant manager. So I think the three of them, it'll be a team unit. It's not just going to be about Heckingbottom as the main man. I think he's really going to focus on the three of them, you know, as I say, as a management team. But yeah, he knows the players inside out. He knows the club reasonably well because he's been here 18 months, 2 years now. He knows what's expected of him. Interestingly, the management, or I should say the board and the directors have said he won't be judged on results, which I think is a very strange thing to come out with.
It'll be the first manager not to be judged on results, won't it? Let's be honest, if that's true.
I think they might change their view, you know, if things go wrong. Not that I expect them to, of course, but obviously you're judged on results. Everybody's judged on results. You want the first team to do well, no matter what's happening through the youth structure and through the academy and this, that and the other, and United World elsewhere. It's all about the Sheffield United first team results. So I've no doubt things will start to turn on the pitch, and we can get the results that, to be honest, that we've deserved all season, because we haven't been bad all season. We've been playing okay. We just haven't got the points our performances have deserved.
Yeah, it's an intriguing matchup for both teams today, not least when you look at the relative positions both clubs find themselves in. Steve Morrison's taken charge till the end of the season at Cardiff City. He was the under-23s coach prior to this appointment at Cardiff. Obviously, we've spoken about Paul Heckingbottom as well, moving from the under-23s to first team. Brian, it's a fairly big transition, isn't it, when there is pressure on you as the under-23s boss, but when you move to first team, you're under the spotlight then.
Yeah, but I think what's happened is that, you know, in terms of the strategy moving forward has been reflected in the length of contract that has been given to the manager and the staff. You know, it's basically, if I'm an outsider looking in, that's saying, well, we're looking to develop the youth. And in terms of big signings, I think we're not going to see a lot of those. You know, it's about developing what is already within the club and trying to be, trying to be very creative as well in terms of your recruitment. Well,
let's talk about what we've already got here at the club. How confident are we that we've got the personnel that can help in a promotion push this time around?
Well, I think, you know, we touched on it earlier off screen where we spoke about the fact that the formation that is going to be played is reverting back to what it was when Chris Wilder was the manager, and you know, it's one that is familiar for the manager now. So I think there will be a lot of players who are more comfortable in that. You know, we tried to shoehorn different players into a 4-2-3-1, for example. It made it certainly uncomfortable for a lot of players. It will be interesting to see if we can get a run going of games, consistent performances and results that takes the team up the league.
I mean, Kevin, you've seen every game with us on SUTV Live this season. Are you confident now that we're seeing these players mesh together?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I touched on it earlier. I don't think we've been poor all season, to be honest. The performances have been okay. We just haven't got the results. You mentioned about, you know, have we got the players? Undoubtedly, we've got the players in this squad. You know, we've still got Premiership top quality players, and some of them cost a lot of money, multi-million pounds.
And on that note, I heard you say after last weekend's game that you felt that was a Premier League style performance from a Premier League group.
Yeah, exactly. Our quality told, and it should tell in the end. You know, we talk about, the work rate and formations and this, that and the other, but at the end of the day, the Premiership quality we have in our squad and in our side and on our bench, you know, everywhere should tell. You know, because we've got some really, really top quality players, and we need to, as Brian rightly said,
they need to perform, don't they?
Of course they do, but in my opinion, you know, as I keep saying, and I will bang on and I maintain, you know, we've just got to get the results that our performances have justified, really. Now, Brian's right to say we need to get the formation settled, and everybody at the club is happy with the formation that we're doing now, and so are the 30-odd thousand Blades fans here every week, and however many, you know, hundreds of thousands watching on TV. Everybody knows the system, they know what's expected of them, and this is a formation that the manager knows and the players know inside out. So couple that with obviously the work rate and the effort and enthusiasm and desire and all those adjectives, plus our Premiership quality that we still have. You know, we should be stepping up this league, and we've got every chance. After the last week, we've got every chance of getting in those playoffs now.
Well, I'm going to ask you shortly what was the difference in last week's performance, because essentially it was the same formation, but the differences were subtle. Before that, let's take a look at the team news. We've just got confirmation of it heading into today's game at Cardiff City. There we are. Essentially, just the one change. Billy Sharp, the club captain, comes back. No Rhian Brewster, not able to recover from that slight hamstring niggle he picked up last week. Billy Sharp, the club's leading scorer, Brian, but Rhian Brewster played very well last week.
Yeah, it's look, I mean, we're away from home. Perhaps the managers just thought, you know what, I need a little bit more experience in terms of knitting the team together. You know, and perhaps, you know, looking at the subs. You know, there's more players out there that you can have an impact on later on in the game. But I definitely feel like when you've got this transition and you're looking for somebody, you know, you have somebody like Billy up front, you have people who in the midfield area know the system, and then at the back, it's definitely better to try and stamp your authority on the game like that. And I think Billy's one of those players who will want to be able to give everything from the start. You know, I don't think it's a very funny one at the moment, because you know Billy himself will not want to be on the bench. You know, and Billy's essentially the most productive striker. So I think you have to be careful how you manage that situation. And obviously Billy's comfortable. And we know what we're going to get from Billy. He's going to run his bits off.
I was going to say, be careful. Kevin, any surprise from you that with Rhian being unavailable, it's Billy that takes his place?
I must be honest, I'm a little bit surprised. Yeah, I totally understand why Billy gets the nod. Obviously, he gets his goal and he's Billy Sharp, and he's going to put in a performance and he's going to be absolutely fine. But I just thought it might have been an opportunity for McBurney to play today. I'm assuming he's 100% fit. He's on the bench, so he's fit to play. With his Swansea connection, you know, going to Cardiff, local rivals, he'll be chomping at the bit to actually get a game. I can't remember the last time I saw McBurney in a Sheffield United shirt, to be honest. It's been that long. You're
a big believer in that, when there's a potentially little bit of niggle, there's an angle that you can get something out of players.
Sometimes, yeah. You just listen. He'll know what I'm talking about now, because Dave Bassett used to come out with the old gut feeling, didn't he? Yeah. You just get this kind of this intuition, this feeling that, I wonder if McBurney might have been better today, just because of the Swansea-Cardiff connection, because he hasn't played for a good few weeks, because he doesn't want to be sat on the bench. You know, he still needs to justify his massive transfer fee, and I still don't think we've seen the best of McBurney. I've no problems with Sharp playing whatsoever. I've been his biggest, fan all season. I think he's been fantastic. But on this particular occasion, I just thought it might have been better to stick with or to play McBurney. Also, of course, we'll come to it later, but Cardiff, very, very big side. Yeah. You know, the very physical side. The old Mick McCarthy ethos is still there a bit. So I just thought McBurney might give us a little bit more on the set piece side as well.
Okay, so one Ollie starts on the bench, another Ollie in Oliver Norwood actually starts in the first choice 11. It's a landmark occasion for him. I got to catch up with him around about an hour ago as they prepare for today's game. Ollie, well, 400 career league appearances. It's quite a landmark. Congratulations, first of all. It's been quite a ride as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, obviously I was made aware in the week that if I was available to play, it'd be my 400th league appearance, which is obviously, a decent milestone, but hopefully plenty more left in my legs yet, a few more years and a few more, but it's come at a good time, because obviously we've hit some good form, and hopefully we can carry that on today.
Yeah, absolutely, and we certainly hope there's plenty more left in those legs. When you look back over the previous 399 league games, are there any real standout moments for you?
Yeah, quite a few. Obviously my debut league appearance for Carlisle was obviously a big, proud day. I think I genuinely mean it, the promotion with Sheffield United's probably the highlight. Just that whole season, and then the first season in the Premier League was incredible as well. So, like I said, hopefully plenty more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could get back to the Premier League, that would certainly be right up there as well. That's the aim. 3 games unbeaten going down to Cardiff this afternoon. What is the mood like amongst everyone?
As you can tell, everybody's pleased. We're in a good place. 3 clean sheets, 2 wins, back-to-back wins, which we haven't done so much this season. And we feel like we're building momentum now, and we're ready to go and kick on for the rest of the season.
And what's going to be the key to today's game? We don't expect you to give away any trade secrets just yet, but Cardiff City are seasoned pros in the Championship, aren't they?
Yeah, a bit like ourselves. A lot of experienced players, a lot of players who've played at this level for a long time. A new manager in charge recently themselves, and you always know what to expect at Cardiff. It's always a difficult place to come. It's always a tough afternoon. We're going to have to defend well. We're going to have to defend set piece as well. And when we have the ball, we've got to play the way that the manager and his staff want us to play.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Ollie. Go well today.
Thank you.
And we'll certainly be rooting for you come kick off at 3 p.m.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
A landmark occasion then for Oliver Norwood, his 400th career league appearance today. He has been over the last few years an integral part, Brian, of this Sheffield United team, certainly in their success. Just how big an achievement is that for Oliver Norwood?
Well, 400 games for anybody as a professional footballer is a hell of an achievement. you know, it's it's obviously covers a long time, and you know, it's fantastic. You know, I mean, I think when you're a kid coming in and you want to be a professional footballer, you just think about making it, you know, but to actually get past 100, 200, 300 is phenomenal. I mean, we were both saying, you know, how many games have he played, and sometimes you got people who only managed 200 games or so on in a whole career. So, and he's still going strong. So credit to him.
Yeah, he's only 30 years old, Kevin. As he says there, still hopes there's a bit of life left in the legs yet. But how important has he been to Sheffield United? Because when Chris Wilder bought him here, initially on loan, it perhaps raised a few eyebrows. He's a bit of a journeyman player at that point.
Well, yeah, but he had big boots to fill, because we loved Paul Coots, didn't we? And we thought he was fantastic. And this kid, Norwood's come in, and he's been better than Paul Coots. You know, he's been fantastic. And Brian says 400 games, fantastic achievement. But also, he's had 3 promotions as well.
It's not bad,
to the Premiership. You know, that you can have 400 games here, there, and everywhere. But he's been part of some very successful sides. And obviously, Sheffield United in the last 4 years. He's played out of his skin. I've been saying it all season, but he is the man that makes us tick. You know, when Sheffield United play well, you can be absolutely certain that Oliver Norwood is there, you know, pulling the strings and make them and lending the ball to people, you know, making us move up the pitch, getting it back, switching it across the other side. We love his 40, 50-yard diagonals, you know, when he pings those balls. But the important ones are the little balls he threads through, you know. The goal against Bristol City, the second goal for Billy Sharp. Yes, it was a great ball in from McGoldrick, but it was Norwood who put that inch perfect first time pass, you know, round the side of the defence for McGoldrick to run onto. And if Norwood gets that wrong, the chance is completely gone. So yeah, I think he's a fabulous player, and he's going to play for a lot more years, because his game is not about running about. He covers the ground. His game is about passing the ball, and he can sit in there for years and years and pass the ball for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good staff here at Bramall Lane have put on the lights behind us, because it might only be 2:20 in the afternoon, but it feels like the middle of the night out there at the moment with the rain pouring down. Thankfully, the Blades are away at Cardiff today, where the conditions look pretty good, and we're all hopeful that Sheffield United will be able to build on the last 3 games. They've taken 7 points from those 3 games, including last Sunday's 2-0 win here at the Lane.
Put the roast beef back in the oven. We've got Sheffield United against Bristol City. The Paul Heckingbottom era starts here. Oliver Norwood into Gibbs-White, looks to spin his man. Still with Gibbs-White, drives into the penalty area. Gibbs-White with the cross. How close was Brewster there? Here's Bogle now in a great position. Bogle cuts it back. And then Brewster from a tight angle. Couple in the box for David McGoldrick. Holds the ball up, has support from Enda Stevens. Here is Stevens with the cross. And the header just wide from Bogle. A lot of players arriving late into the penalty area. That was a fine save from Foderingham. Into McGoldrick. Just trying to slide in. Stevens falls for Hourahan. Stevens has stayed forward. Stevens into Brewster! Sheffield United take the lead, and Rhian Brewster gets the Paul Heckingbottom era underway. Fabulous move again from the Blades. It's Brewster's 3rd goal of the season in all competitions, and United lead with 5 minutes to go to half-time. United straight onto the front foot at the start of the second half. Gibbs-White on the outside of Atkinson. Gibbs-White with a cross, and Brewster it was who went for the ball. Shot for Norwood, lovely play. Gibbs-White, saved by Bentley. Billy Sharp tips over the bar. Norwood round the corner for McGoldrick. McGoldrick's cross, what a goal that is! And it's Billy Sharp! Classic Sheffield United. Billy Sharp with the finish. His 6th goal of the season. And surely Sheffield United are heading for victory. Bit of work still to do, but they lead by 2-0.
Well, when Billy Sharp slammed home that second, the conditions still looked pretty good. I can assure you by the time the full-time whistle went, Kevin, there was no green out there. It was purely white. In fact, I was surprised we didn't see the orange ball come out.
Yeah, it was also on my way home. It took me an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, it was an eventful game, wasn't it? A very strange game.
It was an eventful game. It was a good game for Sheffield United because they scored 2 goals, kept another clean sheet, and importantly, got the 3 points. Billy Sharp joined SUTV live in the studio here afterwards, and he said by the end it was difficult to run out there because the snow made his boots heavy. I know you've got your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, no, just joking aside, the boots are so light these days. Yeah. I don't think a little bit of snow is going to make the slightest bit of difference. But we rarely see games like that actually with snow on the pitch, do we? Because they're usually called off. As soon as there's a drop of snow, they call the game off these days. Yes, it was same for both sides, of course. Actually helped us because we like to zip the ball around, as I've already mentioned. So it didn't really impact on our play at all.
Brian, how impressed were you with that performance? Because from the very first whistle, everybody to a man seemed right on it.
Yeah, just seeing the highlights and knowing about the game, the tempo seemed to be up. I think that's why we got used to a level of sort of like the tempo in games being high and playing up to that, and it just felt as though that was the first thing that we need to do down here. When you've got a crowd like that behind you, they expect, the team to be playing at that level of speed and so on. So it was great to see, and I think the players responded to that very well. I mean, the 2 goals were excellent. There was a lot of good interplay, and it bodes well. I think in terms of having consistent performances, that's the benchmark now.
And that goal there, guys, that's just all about desire, isn't it? Billy Sharp was going to make it his. Come on, man.
Yeah, but that's Brian and all about this, of course. But that's one you need to get something on it, even though you're going to get clattered by the keeper or a defender. But Billy Sharp, his one thought in his mind is getting there first. You can see the big 6'2" keeper closing down on him, knows he's going to get whacked. Just gets his foot on it and making sure, get the goal, let's see the ball at the back of the net, and then I'll take the hit.
2-0 then was the final score, the perfect result, the perfect performance, and the perfect outcome for the first game back in charge for manager Paul Heckingbottom.
Yeah, it's strange. As soon as you get back on the training pitch, it's just a job again. You get going. But yeah, it's great to be out there. Great to watch the lads put in the performances they did, and the fans to respond the way they did to the players. Because in difficult weather conditions, lots of stoppages in play for different reasons. The players kept the concentration and the drive, and the fans responded.
Just while that's in the mind then, have those stoppages perhaps stopped Brewster and Norwood then? Because they appeared to be suffering because of that, maybe?
Yeah, it's never ideal. So you look at the weather conditions, how cold it is, and we had a big long stoppage when Nathan obviously got a bad head injury, so we wish him well. And it's not easy. You don't think about it at the time when you're a player, but yeah, it may have. So we'll assess them afterwards and see how they are. But as I said, it was good the players kept the concentration and went right to the very end.
How, within the space of a couple of training sessions, have the players worked on that intensity that I think everybody saw right from the off today that helped you get the victory that you did?
Well, it's been tough because obviously yesterday's session was snowed off, so we went on the indoor and while speaking about it and setting up tactically, we could only really walk through it. So it's been a lot on video, a lot of discussions, reminding players about certain things. Probably the good thing for me and a lot of the players is we worked together last year for a while. Friday's training session was very good, intentionally getting the tempo right up, intentionally making lots of transitions and changeovers of possession. But that's it, yeah, just a response from that. We want to be better than that today, but I can be pleased with the players. They were really, really good from start to finish. 21 shots, and at one point you're still only 1 goal in it, you're thinking anything can happen, so I was delighted when that second goal went in.
At one point thinking anything can happen. It helps, of course, then when you can bring a 35-year-old club-leading scorer off the bench in Billy Sharp to wrap up the game. Brian, you came back to this club, I think you're 37 years old when you came back. At that point you can't play every game. Billy clearly still wants to, but it is about managing yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. From a personal perspective, you will want to play every minute of every game. But you have to be smart. You have to think about being economical with what you're actually capable from your body. So there'll be times where when you're managing yourself, you say, okay, which games are better for me? How can I, you know, you might not do as much running. Certainly I didn't at 37. I was focusing more on how good I could be in the box, you know, and I think, you know, you still want to have the same influence over the team, because as soon as you're not influencing the team at that kind of age, you're no good to anybody. So, you know, Billy's up in everybody's face, and that's why I think at times I've actually said, you know, I'm waiting for some of the other strikers to kind of come up and challenge him, because by challenging him, you're pushing him, but you're also pushing yourselves, you know. But it seems to me that Billy's still the main guy here, and which is great for the club because he's putting in the performances. But I'd like to see a few more of the forwards step up now and think about how they, you know, what impact can they have now in the team. You know, it's the likes of Mousset, McBurney. You know, I want to see those guys, the ones who are leading the line now.
Yeah, it's not about just scoring goals, it's setting the tone, being the first line of defence as well, isn't it? Yeah. Well, as we've touched upon, Billy Sharp, of course, scored the winner in the end to make it 2-0. He's the club's leading scorer again this season, now with 6 to his name. Let's hear from the man himself following last weekend's win.
Well, first of all, how satisfied are you with that victory today?
Yeah, it was important. We got off to a winning start. Obviously, we've been stuttering at home, and I'm delighted we've got another clean sheet. Been talking about that, keeping clean sheets, and we'll win a lot of football games. And I thought we looked solid again today. Wes pulled off a great save after giving them a corner away, but I think he was a little bit bored and wanted to save. But no, he made a good save, and we looked solid, and we created a few chances today, which we've managed to put 2 of them away.
Well, on that's 3 in a week now, clean sheets, isn't it? I mean, is that what do you believe that's down to? Switching back to a back 3 or mentality or both? What?
Good habits. Yeah, obviously, I think that we are more comfortable in that formation. We've played it for a lot of years, but you've still got to defend properly, whether you're playing, you know, 2 centre-halves or 3 centre-halves. And I think at the minute we've looked solid, like I've said, and it's only going to breed confidence and good habits all over the pitch. And like I say, I'm delighted it gives us a platform, and then we can go and put the ball in the back of the net at the other end.
Is that something, because obviously Slavisa Jokanovic did that in his last 2 matches, but is that something you as a group of players said to him, look, we would prefer to play this way, it suits us? Yeah,
I think I think we tried it. You know, we tried it under him a few times, and we didn't quite look as usual self. Whether we should have stuck at it or not, you know, won't know. But we tried other formations. But even whatever formation we play, we haven't been good enough up to now this season. So hopefully this last week is the start of a push for us, because we're more than capable of climbing the ladder, and hopefully we've done that a few places today, and got to keep driving each other on, which every single day counts, which I think I spoke about it to the other manager about our standards in training of not being as good as what they should be, and it leads on to a game on a weekend or on a midweek game. So we've got to be at each other every single day, so then it becomes easier on a Saturday afternoon. But today's only going to be great for the lads' confidence. Clean sheet, 3 points and a couple of goals. Obviously Rhian's got on the score sheet as well.
All in all, a good day all round, certainly for Billy Sharp, certainly for Sheffield United. And Kevin, the one thing that immediately stuck out to me from that performance was the energy about the team, not just in possession, but more pointedly when they didn't have the ball.
Yeah, I think the manager came out and said he's looking for a lot more high press, it's called, isn't it? But you know, you can call it what you like.
Examples here.
It's just desire to win the ball back as quickly as possible, and not let the opposition get comfortable on the ball, especially in their own half. Because the higher you can win the ball up the pitch and make it comfortable for them, obviously when you do get the ball back, you know, you haven't got too far to go to their goal. So that's what you're looking for. But it was all about the intensity, wasn't it, of our play? Not just off the ball, closing people down, but when we had the ball as well.
Is this what we mean when we talk about setting the tone?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, words are cheap, and everybody says the same things, and all clubs managers say the same things, and the players will say it in the dressing room. But it's a different kettle of fish when you get out there. You've got to actually produce it on the pitch. That's the difficult part. But you got a sense last Saturday, that the whole club kind of ethos had changed a bit, and everybody was a little bit more positive in everything they did. So the passing was more positive. You know, the closing down was more positive. Even go as far as to say the fans were a bit more positive. They got behind the team a little bit more.
Yeah, and if you're winning the ball back early, Brian, winning it high up the field, you're giving opportunity to your playmakers like Morgan Gibbs-White, for example, to really cause problems for your opposition.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I kind of frustrates me a little bit nowadays when I hear people talking about, you know, it should be a given that every team should press high. It should be the standard for every team. You know, people talk about, you know, Ralph Rangnick coming in and all of this. We've been doing this for years. You know, I'm watching some of the shots there. And of course, as soon as you start pressing the opposition, their passes, they can't play the pass that they want. Now that's how you disrupt play.
It's about making your opponents feel uncomfortable, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about turning over the ball, and you can't turn over the ball unless you put pressure on the pass. So, you know, that's a given. That's the tempo we should be playing at, and especially in this division. You can't get out of this division unless you play at that pace. You know, because we haven't got Ruud Gullit, we haven't got Van Basten, you know, we haven't got some of the better players that you see now, Bernardo. We haven't got those kinds of players. Hard work should be a standard template for everything you do.
One player we have got is Morgan Gibbs-White. Let's talk a little bit about him, because when he gets the ball in his control, he's a threat to anyone.
I thought he was absolutely outstanding last week in a team that played very, very well. You know, they were all 7.5, 8.5 out of 10. I thought he was like 9.5 out of 10. He was everything we did very, very well seemed to go through him. He gets in these wonderful positions in a little bit of space on the half turn, and he gets the ball and he's driving at players. His footwork is tremendous as well in the tight. He spins very, very quickly, leaving defenders for dead. He also had about maybe 3 or 4 shots. He was very unlucky not to get on the score sheet himself. Whereas Norwood makes us tick with his passing, this kid makes us tick when he gets hold of the ball and just creates things out of nothing.
Well, let's look at some of his stats then, Brian, because you can see the 3 clubs he's played for there. He's only 21 years old, but he seems to have found a home here at Sheffield United.
Look, I mean, I think the guy's exciting. He's the kind of player I'd want to see down here, you know, beyond this season, because he's got skill. You know, those tight spaces, the kind of, you know, when you're unlocking defences, this is the kind of guy that you need, you know, and he loves it down here. You can see in his play, he's playing with a lot of freedom, you know, and he's made the place his home. You know,
well, 4 goals, 2 assists, 24 key passes. For you as a front man, he's a dream, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, if I'm him, I'd be, you know, every day is a birthday. You know, I know you might think I'm coming out with statements, but I know that looking at him playing, he loves playing down here. So, you know, and you can look at his technique. I don't know what happens if he goes back to Wolves. Is he going to play? You know, so he's the kind of player that is going to set the tempo down here for me. And
of course, it's just as important at the other end of the pitch to be preventing your opponents from scoring. And to that end, Wes Fodringham's been given his chance between the posts, and he's taken it with both hands. 3 straight clean sheets, Kevin.
Yes, I think he's a great start for him, isn't it? With the clean sheets, as you say, we hadn't had a few, so we were due a couple. Certainly, he's been steady. He hasn't had to do an awful lot, but what he has had to do, he's done with a minimal fuss. His handling's been clean. Shots that he can't keep hold of, he's pushed them away and pushed them well out of the danger zone, so he hasn't just fumbled them forward. He's got them pushed wide. I like the fact he's not physically imposing as a keeper, but he makes good decisions, and he comes and claims crosses and a few high balls that really takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and looking at those games there as well, goalless draw obviously started it against Coventry, but you go away from home, keep a clean sheet, another one last week. It's just a calming influence in that penalty area, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. I think obviously having the extra defender playing the 3 centre halves now has helped, you know, solidify the defence a bit, but it's much better to have a confidence in your keeper behind you. You know, it does kind of filter through the whole of the back 3 and then the wing backs as well, and through the whole team actually.
Okay, well, we've spoken about Paul Heckingbottom and his experience at the club. He's been joined now on the first team coaching staff by former players Jack Lester and Stuart McCall, and this week we caught up with both men to discuss just how easy it's been to settle back into life here at Sheffield United.
Well, first team coach primarily. But we've been really while on top of that, we've been really pleased with the work going on in the academy, and I'll still be able to make key decisions in there, and key appointments and things like that, and really just check the academies aligned with the first team. If we're in a bit of a development model, then we need to get those foundations right. But my day today as a first team coach, yeah, for sure.
Is it a case where ultimately, as this plan develops, all age groups will play in a way that you want the first team to play?
Not necessarily, no. I don't think that works right through the younger ages. Maybe towards the 23s need to start mirroring it, because that's the next step, if you like. But I think to begin with, you've got to deliver a team that represents the city, really, and that is hard working. There's an honesty with that. There's a competitiveness with that. There's grit with that, and the strapline was out, run out, fight out, play, and it's not far off it. Having played here and knowing the city inside out, you know what's not accepted, and also what's exciting. It's got to be fast. It's got to be exciting. It's got to be fearless. You're going to make mistakes. That's all right. Which reaction to the mistakes, how determined you are in that tackle, how determined you are in that race, and then the team set up. You can be a really organised team, and I've played for some really good coaches, but if that team's not at it, it doesn't win. So you've got to be both. You've got to be really organised. You've got to have good coaches around it who can teach the game, but you've got to be at it, and that's what Sheffield United is when I've seen it at its best. And I've seen it several times, and I've seen it in other times. But when that team's at it, the fans come alive. Bramall Lane becomes a very hard place to play, because I've been on the back of that in a playoff game with Forest, and there's a few big tackles United, and you just sensed the fans got involved and the game was gone. And it was a tough one to take that night, but I've also been there as a player when everybody's at it and the fans will take you through it. And in the end, there's got to be togetherness with what's on the pitch and what's in the stands, because it's such a powerful ally, and to get that ally on side, you've got to deliver what they want.
How good does it feel to be back?
Yeah, delighted. It came right out of the blue. I was enjoying my time at Blackpool, but I got a call from Hecky, and it just snowballed really quickly. So really pleased to be back. I had 5 fantastic years here, loved every minute of it. So hopefully onwards and upwards now.
Is that part of the pull then, and all of those memories and being part of the club at that time and popular here to come back? Yeah,
no, I think so. As I say, I had 4 really good months at Blackpool. Worked with some good staff and a good group of players, and again, I got a phone call from Hecky saying in the future would I be interested maybe joining him. And then the day after, it just, as I said, just snowballed. But yeah, there was a few things to take in consideration. Obviously, coming back here where I've had some good times, knowing Hecky well, knowing the club, and knowing what a good group of players that there is here at the club, and hopefully the ambitions to kick on and in the next couple of seasons really. Show that we can hopefully look like we can get back to where we've not been so long ago. You're acutely aware right from the off that something had been lost over the course of the relegation from the Premier League and then up to now. Yeah, certainly in the atmosphere. As I said, because the players actually played well against Blackpool. They were having shots at goal, and there was just sort of an apathy really. But I understand that and I get that. But again, it's down for the staff to get the players enthused, which they should be, you know what I mean, and if they need backsides kicking, then we can do it. If they need a cuddle, we can do that. But from our point of view, my point of view, it's to get the best out of what we've got here, and I believe we've got a good group of players that maybe just need a little bit of direction, a little bit of confidence, and that's what it's about. But it's got to be a team effort all across the board, from the supporters, who are the biggest thing at any football club, throughout the football club. This might sound like an obvious question, and maybe even a daft one. Your relationship with Hecky, that's from Bradford, isn't it? Yeah, that's where it started. That's right. Yeah. He'd been at the club on loan when I went there, and I brought him back. He was a terrific professional. I could see the way he went about business. He would go into the coaching setup. I've kept in touch with him.
give him some good advice, give him some bad advice. But he was always a sort that I would thought he would continue in the game. You know, he was a student in the game. He didn't just like turning up, getting off and getting home. You know, he was a little bit longer in the training ground. He'd want to know where we were doing certain things. So that's the sort of players you want. He's an intelligent footballer. There's not many about.
The thoughts there of Jack Lester and Stuart McCall, two members of the three-man team that we at Sheffield United hope will turn out to be the dream team for the remainder of this season as the Blades push for promotion back to the Premier League. Ahead of today's game against Cardiff City, we'll just look ahead to the games before Christmas. Both Monday night games, first of all, on Monday the 13th of December, that's a week on Monday, 7:45 kickoff, so SUTV Live will be on air from 7 p.m. John Rawling will be here to take you through that one alongside Kevin Gage and Carlos Saba for the trip to Queen's Park Rangers. And then 5 days before Christmas, a trip to Fulham, another Monday night game, 7:45 kickoff again on air at 7 p.m. And I'll be back in the hot seat alongside Kevin and Rob Kozluck. And speaking of Christmas, if you're wondering what to buy close friends and family, then perhaps go online or down to the club store. Both the home and away kits are available. Ideal Christmas presents, I think, available right now as well. As I say, either online or in store if you want to grab that quick present for friends, family and loved ones. Let's look ahead to today's game then. The team news for both sides is in. We'll start first of all with Cardiff City, who have taken 10 points from the last 15, chaps, but they made two changes, seemingly tactical ones today from the side that won 2-1 at Luton last week. Mark Harris and Isaac Davies, the men to come into the starting lineup. Top scorers, Aidan Flint and Kiefer Moore, both on the bench. What do we think of that, Brian?
Oh, maybe the two guys who have come in are just going to give them a little bit more energy and try and match up what we seem to be bringing to the game now. You know, we seem to be playing with a high tempo, especially after last week. So, you know, perhaps they've just thought, you know what, we'll match them to begin with, and then we'll look to have more of an impact later on in the game. Don't know.
Are we surprised, that Kiefer Moore is on the bench? Because we talk about the physicality. He's their top scorer. He's a Welsh international, and he's dropped to the bench.
Hugely surprised because he is their main man. He's their main target man up front. As you say, top goal scorer. They are a very physical side, or I should say they have been a very physical side, a typical kind of Mick McCarthy side, if you like. And I think with the new manager coming in, he's been an under-23 coach. I think he's just trying to change the ethos and, you know, the way they play. So he's just looking to bring a few more kids. There's a bit of a transition going on. Yeah. They want to move away from the Mick McCarthy era of the, as you rightly say, the physical side, and they want to get a bit more push towards the footballing side.
If you weren't with us at the top of the show, let's show you the Sheffield United lineup once again. Just the one change. Rhian Brewster isn't fit to play today, so Billy Sharp comes back in. Other than that, it's the same team that started last weekend.
Yeah, it's just as you were, isn't it? Don't change a winning side, they say, and we probably wouldn't have done, but had he not got a little hamstring strain, Brewster. But it's exactly the same formation that we just spoke about, that everybody knows and trusts and loves. And I think, you know, we should be good enough to go down to Cardiff. It's going to be a difficult game, obviously, but I think with the quality in our side that we've previously mentioned, I think we should be good enough to get some kind of result today, if not a win.
Well, we'd certainly love a win, extend that unbeaten run to 4 straight games. Let's take a dip into the annals now. A memorable game for Blades fans going back 15 years or so to when Sheffield United went a long way to securing promotion with a win against Cardiff City.
Good Friday, it certainly was for United. They went into the vital game at Cardiff knowing that a win would put the Blades on the brink of the Premiership.
They are now on the brink of playing among football's elite next season. 3 points would certainly send them a long way towards that, and this is Kozluck's ball into the box for Stephen Cabra, who's done really well, finds Webber, he's missed! He doesn't usually miss from there, but Danny Webber blazes the ball over. It's a great ball down the line from Kozluck, and Stephen Cabra very unselfishly pulled it back, and Webber couldn't supply the finish. Good vision from Stephen Cabra, despite the close attentions of Whitley. And Webber, well, you can see what it means to his manager when he missed. Jagielka. Looking by. Jagielka again. And in the shadows, Danny Webber. He step out with the non-called Cardiff a problem. Well, not this time. Cleared away. Here's Cameron Jerome, a Sheffield United transfer target, but he's given the ball away, and Danny Webber has an opportunity here to cause Cardiff a problem. Into the box, into the net, and is that the goal that sends Sheffield United to the promised land of the Premiership? Danny Webber puts Sheffield United a whisker away from top-flight football. Let the celebrations begin. Stopped in his tracks initially. Cardiff should have got it clear. Cameron Jerome looked comfortable as the ball came into him, but an awful pass put it to Danny Webber on a plate. Attacking Neil Cox, there was only one thing he was going to do, and that's find the bottom corner. And Sheffield United now a whisker away from Premiership football. All the pressure back on Leeds and Watford, thanks to this goal from Sheffield United's number 10, Danny Webber. Celebrations all round, they can taste it, can't they? He's been colossal for Sheffield United this season. A snip as well at £500,000.
So, joy for Neil Warnock and the team, but they, like the fans, must now wait an agonising few hours for Watford's results, and then till Saturday for the crucial game between Reading and Leeds.
Well, Leeds United would drop points on that Saturday afternoon game, and it meant Sheffield United win the Premier League. You were part of that squad back then, Brian. Give us an idea of what it was like.
I was, squad being the most important word. I think at the time what had happened was I'd come back, and but I think my presence at that point was just more about being in and around the changing rooms and lending some of my experience to some of the guys and helping the manager out. I certainly remember Stuart being the first team coach then, and Tony Daly as well. I think I was actually injured at the time, which was probably my body telling me it's time to
pushing yourself too hard. Clearly.
Yeah. But no, it was a fantastic squad, full of very good players, and there was the self-belief in the squad. You know, I'd look at games and I think, oh, that's a tough game, and we just seemed to keep steamrolling teams. You know, the squad had a really good balance to it at the back. You know, very strong physical defenders. I think Craig Short and Chris Morgan were here. Lee Bromby, I think, was here. And then, you know, up front had a lot of experience. Steve Cabba, Danny Webber, Adi Akinbaye. In the midfield, you had Nick Montgomery. Cozzy was here, of course. So it was a really good squad, well balanced, and a very mature bunch of players.
Yeah, and easy to see why that team had plenty of self-belief. That's what we could do with a bit more of today ahead of the trip to Cardiff City. Sander Berge starts the game on the bench after what's been a difficult 2 or 3 months for him, but he's fit, he's healthy, and he's raring to go once more.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be back after a long time away. Obviously, COVID was the main reason. Got that when I flew back home to Norway to play with the national team. So then I was out for about 15 days or so, and then even when I was back here, I even felt it for the last 10 days or so. So yeah, it's been a long long journey, but and especially after last season when I was out for that long and then came back, and my whole summer I spent on taking care of the body and so on. So it was tough to get another break, but that's part of the game, and now I'm fit and ready to get back in action.
I imagine it's been quite frustrating because at certain points in your Sheffield United career, when you look to be in really good form, injury or illness has kind of taken over, so it'd be nice to get a good run there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had periods where I've been playing and stayed fit, and I've felt sharp then, and always tried to get some momentum and play over a couple months and keep that. But yeah, when those things part of being an athlete, that can happen. So it's just about coming back even stronger every time and hopefully learn a little bit from why things happen and what you can do better.
A nice little cameo against Bristol City last Sunday. Good to come on and experience a win for Sheffield United.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a very comfortable performance from the guys. We were solid from the first minute to the last minute, and yeah, it was enjoyable to come out in that snow weather in front of the fans again. So December is a nice moment to play, and especially when hopefully family can come over and watch me this season after two years away from being here.
And a winning start for the new manager. How big an impact has he had over the last 7 days?
Oh yeah, massive. We know Hecky a lot from before, obviously. I wasn't that much part of his time in charge last season due to my injury then, but I've seen him around and spoken to him, and he's a very good man and a manager, and he knows what he wants, and it's back to the identity of the club, which is hard work and to be direct and forward.
And he's also brought Stuart McCall in. Jack Lester has stepped up from the academy. How well have they settled in, and how big an influence have they been over the past 7 days?
Oh, they've been very good. Obviously helped us a lot to get back up to speed now, and focus on intensity, hard work. It's been nice to get to know them and what they stand for, and obviously we've been falling a little bit back to our 5-2-3, 5-3-2, which is have been the main identity for this club in a very long time. So I think the boys are thrilled to get back out there and to show some good football.
Good to see Sander Berge in good form and in an upbeat mood after what we say has been a difficult few months for him, Kevin. But from a club perspective and aspects of competition within the team, it's great, isn't it, for Sheffield United that they can start him on the bench and he doesn't just come straight back into the starting 11?
Well, no, I mean, we all want to see him out on the pitch. We're desperate to see him out there. We haven't seen anything like the best of Sander Berge, in my opinion. We don't even know what his best position is. We don't even know where to play him, to be honest. So yeah, it just shows the quality we've got in the side and in the wings waiting to come on.
Well, he came off the bench last Sunday, of course. Hopefully we'll see a bit more of him this afternoon. Kevin, thank you. We'll allow you to go and take your position in the commentary box ahead of today's game. But Brian, on Sander Berge, we know he's a quality player when he's fully fit and on form, and that's ultimately what we want to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking just then, potentially he's going to be like a new signing for the running after January. So I think he's a great player. I saw patches last season where I thought he was running like a Rolls Royce. He really has got that potential for me to be a kind of guy who can dictate, but as I've said it before, it needs to be higher up the pitch. There's no good playing him in front of the back four. It's got to be more, where he's penetrating and where he's killing teams.
So Sander Berge starts on the bench for today's game at Cardiff City. No Rhian Brewster, who misses out, having picked up a slight hamstring niggle in that win over Bristol City last weekend. But we did catch up with him on SUTV Live earlier this week to talk to him about that game and what the last week has been like.
Yeah, it's been a little bit intense, Obviously, I think all of us really were just trying to concentrate on, getting results, like we always trying to do, and not looking past obviously what's in the news and stuff like that. And of course, of the manager getting sacked or leaving, sorry. And obviously Eki coming in. It's been a weird kind of week and a half, and obviously the other day was a good start and pushing in the right direction.
Does it help that there's already a kind of relationship there with Paul Heckingbottom anyway?
Yeah, of course. It was he come in like a day or two before obviously the game, and of course it kind of helped that we knew he knows most of the players, and we know him from last year, the back end of last year, of course, and it helps going into a game because we kind of know what he really wants, and obviously we just reiterated that in training, and obviously we got the result on Sunday, so it was a positive start.
What's Paul Heckingbottom said to you about what he wants from you in the way he wants to play?
Yeah, goals. Nah, I'm joking. Nah, it was more of course under the last gaffer it was we played different formations and stuff like that, and I was asked different stuff from from each position, playing right, left, up front, and there's a 10. Of course, for me, I'm a striker, and you want to play up front and score a lot of goals and be closest to the goal you can be.
So no Rhian Brewster today. Brian, how frustrating is that for him and for Sheffield United? Because we saw a clip of the goal he scored against Blackburn. Yeah. He took his goal last weekend very well as well. He just seems to be running into form, and then he hits a bump in the road.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. you know, I suppose he's going to look at the fact that, you know, Paul Heckingbottom is the new manager as a chance for him to start his season. And the strike actually was of somebody who's very confident. So maybe they've got a very good relationship together already. But yeah, it's disappointing because you're looking for a little bit of traction now, especially as a forward.
And noticeable that he was keen to say, I think I can make it today. Ultimately, they've erred on the side of caution and said, no, we're going to sit you for this. But if you're Paul Heckingbottom, that's exactly what you want to see from a player, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, what you want is you want players who are saying, I want to play, rather than those who are saying,
it's been a little...
you know what, it might be a couple of weeks before I'm ready. So, no, it's always positive. It means that it's a good place to be around at the moment. The environment within and around the training ground, the ground and everywhere is a good one.
And what about this afternoon's game then? Because we're close to kick-off. Cardiff City have had a bit of resurgence since Steve Morrison took over 6 games ago. They're not going to be easy opponents today.
No, they're not, and they're at home. And perhaps the two changes will reflect them wanting to play a higher tempo, possession-based type game to try and match what we want to do. So that's going to be interesting as well. Ultimately, I think that this is a game that we can get 3 points from, and I think it's a good time to be playing them.
How does Sheffield United approach it?
I just think tempo. Tempo is very important. Everybody knows the shape. I think the players will be confident now because they're back in a system that they believe. And for me, it's about looking forward. And when I say looking forward, I mean, can we penetrate? Have we got that, you know, that penetration? Can we go up and support the ball quickly enough? You know, we know about Eddie. I keep calling him Eddie. It's David. But
I made the same mistake. If it's any consolation.
But we know how good David is at actually dropping into that midfield and making sure that we can keep possession and then joining up front. So let's see. But I'm very confident today.
And just quickly, a prediction?
2-1.
2-1 to Sheffield United. Brian Deane says we'd take that. That'll be another 3 points. So without further ado, let's take you down to the Cardiff City Stadium. In a moment, you'll hear from Kevin Gage. But first of all, it'll be Matt Young